Welcome to the Raging Takes podcast with your hosts, Brian Dixon, Kai Zabo, and Dylan Peters.
What's up, you turkeys? Welcome to episode 130 of the Raging Takes podcast. Today is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Brian Dixon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Sky the Commissioner Zabo and Dylan Peters. What's up, boys?
Salutations.
Dylan's letting the taco meat fly today. Get a little Tony Soprano chest hair out. I like it, dude.
Hey, I'll take the gabagool.
We're the snapback boys today. Is this the first time in show history that we're all wearing snapbacks backwards at the same time? I think it might be.
What? Hold on. Is it really?
I feel like it might be. When I wear snapbacks, I'm usually a forward snapback guy, depending on how long my hair is. This is an acceptable length for my hair to be for me to wear a snapback backwards. But otherwise, I usually wear this half forwards.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I do the snapback forward is like tilted, and my hair's poking out like this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I tie my hair up, I wear my hat forward. If I have my hair down, I wear it backwards. So
interesting. We're learning a lot about Kai's hat routines here today. I like this. Do you have any more?
No. I mean, sometimes I wear the hair down and the hat forward, but very rare.
What about you, Dylan?
I can only wear like golf hats forward. I have a weird shaped head, occipital bun. I can only wear backwards hats. The snapback's perfect for my head. Other than that,
I'm more of a fitted guy myself. But anyway, we're getting off topic here. Let's talk about football. We're going to talk about the NFL Week 14 slate. We'll preview Thursday Night Football. Kind of a big one. Kinda-ish. Rams-Niners. He hate me, of course. We got some NFL news to talk about, but first, the raging question of the day. Bill Belichick. He's reportedly interviewed for the University of North Carolina head coaching job. Do you guys think this is a good move for Bill Belichick?
You know, I just saw this news like about 4 hours ago, and I thought to myself immediately, I was like, that's not bad. That's in his corner of the country. He made himself a success with a Boston team and the New England Patriots. It's right around that same area. He would really elevate the recruiting power of a school like that. They've kind of been struggling in their conference for the last few years now. I think a guy like Bill Belichick would really elevate some juice into a school like that.
Yeah, so Bill Belichick basically came out and said this is going to be a professional program in college to prepare like professional prospects, real professional prospects that Bill Belichick is going to gather possibly and prepare them for the NFL. He's a pipeline to the NFL, he said. Yeah, it's good for college football. It's good for NFL. It's good for Bill Belichick. He could have complete control of North Carolina.
Yeah, it's great
he
for the.
He wants it, it's his.
I was going to say it's great for that conference too, and also it's kind of cool for Bill Belichick too because he really has nothing left to prove. It kind of just seems like he's just doing this for fun and as like a retirement kind of thing. So I like it for him.
Well, it would be like a retirement thing if he's getting back into coaching. I feel like college football coaching might even be more work than professional football coaching is with like the transfer portal and recruiting and all this different stuff.
Well, he's obviously going to bring in his own staff that he's going to delegate stuff to.
Yeah, but
this is the rumor is that he wrote like a 400-page script basically of like everything that he wants to do, including like staffing, all this different stuff. There's also a rumor going around that he said that he wants his son to replace him eventually down the line. Steve Belichick, the dude with the mullet, the one that's always making weird faces or used to on the Patriots sideline. So it's obviously that if that is true, that he's got big plans for this and he's thought it out. So, I mean, I know he wants to get back into coaching. It's very obvious. So good for him if he does get back into it, whether it's college football or the NFL. I personally think he should stay on TV. I know he's not going to, but I personally wish he would. I think he's fucking excellent on TV. He's fascinating to listen to talk football. I could literally listen to him talk ball all day long. It's just his opinions and like the way he sees certain things is just very interesting to listen to. He's great on the McAfee show where he has a weekly hit. He's great on Monday Night Football with the Manning cast in the first half of the games. I think he would be a superstar in the television game. So I'm hoping he changes his mind, but I don't think he's going to. So good for him. I'm happy for him. I don't know if college football is the right choice for him, but there's a chance he doesn't get an ideal NFL job either. Like there's some decently interesting jobs that are going to be opened up this year, but like, do you want to go to the Bears? That dysfunction? Do you want to go to the Cowboys where you're going to have no control over anything because of Jerry? I don't know. I think maybe the only job that really would look interesting enough that he would want to go to would maybe be Cincinnati off the top of my head. Just because you have a franchise quarterback there. You got one of the best wide receivers in football. Maybe you can turn that around. And even though their defense is absolute dog shit, they still have really good players on their defense that you could build around.
He would turn that defense around immediately.
I agree. So I think that would be a nice fit because I don't think they're going to keep Zach Taylor, but good for. I'll be happy for him if he goes to college football. I don't know right now if this is the right move for him, but I'm excited to see.
I think it's the right move for him personally. I kind of just think he maybe doesn't want to come back to the NFL anymore. Like maybe this is just like he obviously took a college job out of anything because maybe this is where he wants to settle down with his new girlfriend thing or whatever. Maybe this is where he wants to grow some roots. Maybe this is what he wants to do as like his last hoorah. Like if he wanted to go to the NFL, he easily could, right? I mean, he would have all the jobs open for him.
I'm terrified of what Dylan wants to say right now. I see a gleam in his eye.
I'm just saying, like him taking a college job, he has less pressure on him. I mean, depending, of course, but it kind of just seems like this is what he wants to do.
What are you going to say, Dylan?
I think maybe it's the girlfriend that's driving him crazy. He has too much free time doing TV, so he's like, I need to get back into coaching.
But to take college over pro, though, I don't know.
It is time consuming.
The recruiting itself would be very time consuming.
I would love to see him go to college football. I would like to see if he does good or not. I really would. That's all I want to see. Like Bill Belichick, is he good in college? Is he good at coaching outside of having Tom Brady? Because what we've seen, his team has been bad without Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, and we also haven't seen the formula too much either of professional coaches, like successful professional coaches going back to college. Like, have we seen that formula too much in terms of like metrics, like how many times they've won going back to college?
NFL coaches going back to college?
Successful NFL coaches going back to college. I mean, obviously Jim Harbaugh is one of them.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think about it.
Who's the other guy that went? I was like, Bill O'Brien went.
Yeah. Bill O'Brien went back, but what job did he take? Was it Penn State? Or was that?
He was that. I know he coached for Alabama for a while.
Oh, he was like
his own job
for Alabama, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, in essence, the only reason why I say that is because we see it all the time with successful college coaches going to the NFL, and they're just not as successful most of the time.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. It sounds like he's probably going to get it. It's nothing confirmed yet, but it seems like the whispers are suggesting that he's probably going to get it. So we'll see. Well, I imagine we'll have an update by the next time we're on here. I think. Let's get to the news. First up, Panthers rookie running back Jonathan Brooks tore his ACL in the game versus Philadelphia. It's the same one that he tore in college last season. So obviously his season is done. Timeline uncertain for 2025. I know Dylan has an opinion about this. So,
no, I thought it was very risky to fire him up within a year or around a year after like a torn ACL. I always think it's risky. I think rehab is better than, what's happening here. I mean, nothing would have hurt by sitting him, shutting him down, just playing with Chuba and the running backs you have. It wouldn't have hurt him at all. But I feel like it's kind of a fumbling. Maybe if the Panthers were like playoff contenders and they needed some juice, getting them out there, but they're not. And now it's the same knee, torn ACL again. It's going to be even longer recovery. It's going to be even more like adversity in his young career, wasting prime years. It's super unfortunate. And I think it could have been avoided.
It is super unfortunate. he honestly was starting to look pretty solid too. Like he had a couple of nice play. Like obviously he only had 2 games that he played, but he had a couple of nice runs in there. Now, who knows what his future holds. I personally don't have a problem with the Panthers playing him.
Same.
I get your point, but at the same time, it's like you still kind of want to see what you have in your rookie running back too, right? So like, I don't know. Hindsight's 2020, obviously, but I don't think that this is on the Panthers. I think it's just like a freak accident that happened, unfortunately. And seeing as it's the same ACL, if you wait and save him another, until week 1 next year, there's a chance he still tears his ACL there too. Who knows? Maybe this was going to happen eventually, no matter what. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but yeah, I don't think this is like the Panthers' fault or anything like that. It's just super unfortunate that it happened. So hopefully he recovers well, and hopefully he comes back and is a decent professional. But
give him J.K. Dobbins, dude.
He's very uncertain right now. I mean, Dobbins came back and he's been okay. He's been solid this year.
Beginning of his career.
Yeah. So maybe that gives hope that Jonathan Brooks will come back and be a decent player eventually.
Yeah. I'm on the same boat with you too, Brian. It's one of those like damned if I do, damned if I don't situations. It's like we wanted to see what he looked like a little bit and he happened to get injured, and that's not really on anybody, just freak accident like you said.
So now I guess we'll see if he's ready for week 1. I would guess there's a chance that he's not. Probably similar to what happened this year.
Guess what? They paid Chuba, so it's all right.
Yeah, they'll be perfectly fine with just Chuba next year, at least to start for sure. And who knows, maybe they'll go pick up another, 3rd down type of running back too to help out with Chuba.
Yeah. That does just mean that he probably won't play in his 2nd year either at all.
I think he probably will, but
and then you run into the same situation too. It's like, do we play him this year or do we not? It's like,
you don't let him recover.
I mean, how long do you want him to recover though? A year is usually the diagnosis for recovery for a torn ACL. Like, I mean, AP came back in 9 months and I know that's a different person. He's a freak athlete, but Cam Akers came back like 6 months from a torn Achilles, and he's not Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it's just like you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think you're less damned if you don't.
Yeah, but you can't. Like it's a hindsight is 2020 kind of situation at the same time.
What if the Panthers are good next year? Week 6, he can play. What do you do then?
Week 6?
Yeah, so let's say week 6, he can come back and play.
If the Panthers are good, I still don't.
The Panthers are good. They're 5-1.
You don't have to activate him. You don't have to, because if something else happens, you've toasted this player.
You're just going to shelve him for his whole career, though? You're
That's
bring
what
him
I'm
back
saying.
In year 4?
There's a certain line you have to draw where it's like, how cautious do we want to be with this guy?
The player wants to play, too.
Yeah,
he wants to go out there and try to earn another contract eventually.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation either way. I mean, I see Dylan's point, and I also agree with me and Brian's,
All right.
Next up, another injury news. Derek Carr suffered a, quote, significant fracture in his non-throwing hand. He is expected to miss several weeks per Ian Rappaport. But Darren Rizzi says the Saints are not putting him on injured reserve, hoping that he can return sooner rather than later.
Just shut him down for the year. I'm sorry. Like, I know Derek Carr gives you the best chance to win, but are you really trying to win this division?
But at some point, you have to make a decision.
I mean, yeah, so you can do the same argument. And like Derek Carr wants to probably play. It's a non-throwing hand too. So like that, honestly, if it's not causing him discomfort, he could technically play through it probably.
Yeah, but we saw this happen all of last season though too. It's like they kept throwing Derek Carr out there when he wasn't fully healthy. They kept trying to rush him back from injury because he was their best chance of winning, but it hurt them more in the end. That is what I saw.
This is probably Derek Carr's decision. If he wants to go out there and play like week 17 or something, they'll probably throw him out there. And if he wants to sit out the rest of the season, they'll probably let him sit out the rest of the season because the Saints aren't eliminated from playoff contention, but they're damn near. What is their record now? 5-8. So yeah, it's like,
I just think this is the perfect time to roll out the 2 rookie quarterbacks you have, Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. It's like
Haener is not a rookie, is he? I think he's been around for a few years.
Okay, so he was last year? No, I could have sworn he's like newer.
I'm pretty sure he's not a rookie. I'll look it up.
He was a rookie last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Or like he's like a 3rd-year player.
Yeah, either way, though, I mean, they're still both pretty fresh quarterbacks. Like, don't you want to see what you have for the future a little bit at this point in time?
Well, my apologies. He is a rookie.
Oh,
Or at least this is his first year playing.
That's what I thought.
He's 25.
I would see what one of those guys has.
Exactly.
I would shut Derek Carr down. There's no reason for him to play necessarily.
He's not your future either. I'm sorry. It's like
neither are any of these guys. But if there is there's a case to be made that like kind of New Orleans has to push for those wins. You know? Like let's just say they win a game next week and they're 6-8. And then they're within grasp of a playoff spot.
Yeah, but
do you play Carr?
He was drafted last year, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He's not a rookie.
But
so
at the same time though, Dylan, it's like realistically, do you have a chance of getting past the first round in the playoffs? I know you can't think like that as a team, but
they don't think like that. Like obviously us on the outside, we think that. But them as a team aren't going to think that.
Of course, but like
you're 2 games out of the division, so technically they could still make the playoffs. They're not going to, but they could technically still do it.
I was going to say, but there's also all the injuries to account for, though, too. It's like, do you really think you have a chance of competing with all of these injuries that you have on your team? You know, that's just like how I would look at it.
So you would throw in the towel at 5-8?
Think about it too. Like Darren Rizzi, this might be the only time he's ever a head coach too. So he wants to win some games.
There's a lot of variables that come into play, of course, but yeah, I guess I'm just looking at it from the outside perspective.
And Derek Carr, none of us are Derek Carr fans here. We all kind of think he's pretty bad, but he is a dog. Like he will go out there and play football. So it's like I'm sure he's going to want to play if he's good enough to play. So there are a lot of moving parts, like you said.
He's a very nice guy in real life too. It seems like
he does seem like a very nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to beat his ass.
Who would you? That's nice of you to say. Would you start Haener or Rattler?
Probably Rattler. Honestly, I believe he was the higher graded pick that they had.
I feel like Haener has looked better though in the limited appearances this season.
Rattler is like one of those guys that might have like more potential though. You know, he might give you some more oomph in the running game too. Like I believe he is a mobile quarterback a little bit too compared to Haener.
Haener this season, 14 of 29 for 177 yards, a touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Spencer Rattler this season is oh god, sorry, hold on.
You need help?
59 for 99, 571 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
What about his rushing yards?
0-3 record. His rushing yards, he has 9 carries for 61 yards. So,
I say you give Haener a chance to start.
I think I would give Haener a chance too, just because they're in their mind they're still trying to make the playoffs. And I think Haener probably is the better quarterback right now. Yeah. If they were completely eliminated, I would say Rattler for sure. See what you got.
Yeah,
but probably doesn't matter much. They're playing Washington this week. I think we're all probably gonna pick Washington to win that game, no matter which one of those guys starts. Okay, he hate me.
He hate me. Now, championship rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've started.
Some.
I mean, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But those things have started. Bye weeks. What's going on? We need to figure something out for fantasy football purposes. Week 14 bye weeks. You got a bunch of teams on bye.
Garbage.
They carry a lot of players that are on these teams in the playoffs. But I digress. This isn't about that. This is about the players that played in these games. And a couple in particular, very disappointing, that were on a lot of championship teams that didn't give you much of anything compared to the past. Jaden Reed.
Oof.
If you would have told me,
tough.
If you'd have told me that Green Bay scored 31 points, I would say chances are Jaden Reed went off. Right? You go, oh, he probably had a great game. He probably had an amazing game. What happened? 1 target, no catches. Phased out of the game against a defense of the Detroit Lions that's more broken down than an 81 Honda.
How dare you?
How dare you?
No. I don't understand it. I don't understand why the Packers only threw it 20 times, 12 for 20 for 200 something yards for Jordan Love, high efficiency pass game, and you don't throw it a little bit more. You don't think you need to do that? All right. It is what it is. Screwed a lot of people. Jaden Reed, maybe Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love. Do you hate me?
I've been on the Matt LaFleur hates fantasy football players train for years and years and years. Yeah, he's a great coach, but good Lord, man. Having Packers players is very frustrating.
I think he's publicly said it before, too, that he hates fantasy football.
Sure he does. They all do. All the head coaches do.
Oh, yeah.
Another guy, and that's not necessarily his fault. I feel like this guy has just been plagued by the shit show of all the people throwing the ball on his team. The many of the guys that have thrown the ball on his team. Brock Bowers put out less than 9 points this week. In a championship round where you're like, hey, look, the Buccaneers defense, bottom of the league pass defense, one of the better offensive players in the league. You think, hey, that's a chance for a popping off, right? Maybe you needed that 20-point game. But you didn't get it. Not this week. Because nobody that's a quarterback for the Raiders right now can stay healthy or throw the ball good. And it's a nightmare. It's Desmond Ridder out there. That's a nightmare, dude. Nightmare fuel. Number 3. And I'm sure I know someone in here will have something to say about this, right? So you got this game. Bills 42, Rams 44. Most points put up in the entire NFL this year in a game. Straight up. And James Cook gets 6 carries.
Where's the moon?
Does that make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I'm going to pan this over to me now, but in a week where Derrick Henry was on bye, I really needed James Cook to really do something really fucking badly. In a close game, I know it wasn't close at first. I know the Bills were really down. The game script was against them. But they brought the game back. Josh Allen, 16 carries versus James Cook's 6 carries. Josh Allen steals 3 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, 6 carries for 20 yards.
20 yards. Yeah.
God. Yeah, so now
can I add something that you said the game script like at first? It wasn't at first even. Like they were down 31-14 like in the third quarter.
I understand.
I understand. Late in the third. So the game script was completely against James Cook.
But when you bring it back, you got to bring the run game back a little bit. Yeah. Now I'm down by 50 points in the first round of my playoff matchup because I had 2 guys disappear this week. The second one being T. Higgins. 2 catches on 5 targets in a big game for the Bengals offense. I don't get it. I don't get fantasy football. T. Higgins hates me.
He had a funny tweet after the game where he was like, yeah, I know. He's just like getting out in front of it because he knew people were going to yell at him. He's like, yeah, I know, dude.
Just for T. Higgins saying that, I'm not putting the blame on you.
Dude. And like, did Ray Davis play in this game? Do you guys remember?
No, he didn't.
He wasn't on the field.
No.
So, Buffalo running backs got 6 carries because Curtis Samuel got 1, and then Josh Allen got the rest.
Yeah.
Did Ty Johnson get some run? I could have sworn I saw him have the ball.
He got catches. He got catches.
Not carries.
Yeah.
Not carries.
Yeah.
So just like Buffalo didn't run the ball.
And
James Cook 2 catches, 9 yards. It's just.
And this is the kind of shit that Buffalo used to pull in the past with their run game that caused them to lose big games like this. So Buffalo, you're digging your own grave if you continue to pull some weird shit like this.
Like, why do you have James Cook and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson?
If you're not going to use them. Yeah.
If you're not going to use them at all. And I mean, like, I get it. Buffalo was in this game. Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns. I get he's going to play hero ball all the time. but I think that might have what got them in there in the first place. Like they never even tried to establish a run. So,
well, at the same time, though, the run game was such a big part of their season for the first half. And it's like, it's what made them so dominant. It's like, oh my God, you gave the Buffalo Bills some balance finally because they never had a fucking run game for the last 3 years. And it's like, what are we doing?
By the way, those last two games that the Bills played, this one, even though they lost, and then the snow game against the 49ers, I think that locked Allen as MVP. I don't think anybody has a chance to beat him now.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely the MVP because he's his whole damn fucking team at the end of the day. Like 6 touchdowns by Josh Allen. That's MVP numbers.
Yeah. Well, he has really good numbers this year.
Of course.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, this has been the best year that he's had in regards to turnovers. Like this is the least amount of turnovers he's had in a year.
He also has 1 million touchdowns though, too.
Yeah, on top of everything. Yeah, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns in one game. Like, holy hell.
He has 9 rushing touchdowns this year and 23 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
And it's funny too, because I say all of this when I have James Cook in one league and I have Josh Allen in another, where he got me the number 1 seed in my playoffs for that league. So it's like, it stinks.
Yeah, dude. And he hasn't lost a fumble this year either. So he has 5 turnovers.
He's been really good with the ball this year compared to his past numbers.
I want to complain about the bye weeks too. The fact that week 14 is a bye week, and like, sure, it's just fantasy football, but like fantasy football it's not the main reason, not even close, that football is so popular, but it adds a lot to the sport. Fantasy football is a big industry nowadays, so it's like
huge. Fantasy
football and gambling adds a lot to the NFL. Like the NFL would still be big regardless if those two things just didn't exist. But it still adds a lot more. There's a lot of people that probably wouldn't watch football if not for fantasy football and gambling. So it's like you still should appeal to some of your fan base here. And also week 13, there were 0 bye weeks. So it's like, I assume that's because Thanksgiving is in week 13 and they know that they're going to have 4 games on Thursday and Friday. So they want to have like still a full slate on Sunday. But at the same time, who cares? Like, who cares? Just spread out the bye weeks a little bit more in the middle of the season and still have a couple on week 13. You can lose 2 other teams in week 13. You don't have to have like 6 bye weeks in week 13. You can go still the 3 Thanksgiving games, the Black Friday game, and still have like 2 teams off on bye week, and still have a good Sunday slate and Monday Night Football too. So it's like the way they do it is just, I think it's so just ass backwards. And there's also a lot of leagues that don't play fantasy playoffs in week 14. So I'm sure that's not a big issue to a lot of fantasy football players. But there are still like old fashioned leagues that like to do 2-week playoff matchups like we do in our main league. And we don't play week 18 because, people are in danger of resting in week 18. So it really throws a damper on the plans. And even if you're not playing in the playoffs in week 14, it's still the last week of the regular season. So it's arguably your biggest game of the season anyways. So it just sucks. It's short-sighted a little bit by the NFL, in my opinion.
We need to start a petition.
I agree.
Yeah.
Is he hate me done? Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's done. No, I think the bye weeks just put more teams on bye. Like you can get by with 10 football games. You can get by with 10 football games.
Oh, absolutely.
Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, and then just all you got to do is split up 7 games, 6 games in between 2 slots. Just do that.
Yeah, 4 morning games, 3 afternoon games, perfect.
Have like week 6, 7, and 8 be heavy bye weeks for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it sucks when there's like 8 games on in the same time in the morning. You can't really keep track of all of them unless you have like a bunch of TVs in your living room, which I don't know about you guys. I certainly don't. So it's like, I would like there to be less games on in the morning and, maybe add a couple more to the afternoon type of stuff where it's not so cluttered.
4 in the morning, 3 at night, 4 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, 1 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then just have the rest, the 2 other games. That's all you need.
Well, maybe someday, the NFL will move to like a Friday night game and a Saturday night game. Or they probably won't because of high school and college football too. But
we'll be in rocking chairs
by
then.
It'd be nice. One last thing too about the Packers wide receivers. I can't remember who said it on Twitter, so I apologize. But I saw a tweet like a couple of weeks ago that said, the Packers have like a bunch of good wide receivers, but just keep in mind next season that just like they're ideally flex plays only because you just can't rely on them overall week to week to week. So like if you're drafting Jaden Reed to be your wide receiver too, it might be a bad idea. So that's kind of like the ideology that I kind of want to go into next year's drafts is like, if you want to get a Packers wide receiver, go ahead, but try to make it as a flex play, not as like one of your locked in every week players. I think that's pretty good advice.
And I think we as a podcast going into next season will definitely take all of those things into consideration to get everyone ready for next season.
None of us will have Dontavian Wicks 35th overall in our initial rankings.
Yeah, that was bold.
Okay. Let's get to week 14. First up, the standings update. Dylan, I'm sorry to say, no longer in first place.
It's all right.
I had the best week among us. I was 11-2. And one of the losses was the Bills. So I'm like, oh, God damn it. The Bills would have just won their damn game. I would have had a damn good week. So Kai is now first place, 132-76. He was 10-3 this week. Dylan, you're 3 games back now of Kai, 129-79. You were 6-7 this week.
Damn. That happens.
And then I'm 2 back of you now for second place, 127-81.
Hey, third place is always where I was going to end up, baby. We all know this.
You did take a lot of risks this week.
I did. And that shit happens.
We're all within 5 games, so
Nothing
should be a fun finish here.
Yeah.
First game, Monday Night Football, Bengals 27, Cowboys 20. The Cowboys pull off a Cowboys and lose off their own blocked punt somehow. This was crazy when this happened. I'm not going to say this would only happen to the Cowboys because there are plenty of teams that this would happen to, but this is just a hilarious thing to happen. Jerry Jones looked like he was going to spontaneously combust in the in the owner's box. So basically, the Bengals get their punt blocked. The Cowboys player goes to like grab it, completely just muffs it, and the Bengals fall on it, and then they immediately scored like a long touchdown with Jamar Chase to take the lead. Just a hilarious turn of events to happen on the Simpsons cast, no less. Yeah, did you guys watch the Simpsons cast at all?
I was going to ask if you guys did. It was actually kind of cool. Yeah,
I did not.
It's crazy. It's crazy how good they get it too. It's like they just know what's happening right then and there. It feels like almost like they're like, oh, this guy's sprinting this way, so let's give him some little sprint animation.
What's some sort of like AR technology or something?
Yeah. It's just crazy how they do it nowadays. I mean, have you guys watched the Madden cast view on Amazon Prime yet?
No, but you showed me it the other day.
Yeah, it looked really cool. It's like as if you're playing a Madden game. Yeah, there's just so many different ways to view the game these days.
Joe Burrow continues his amazing season. He keeps their playoff hopes alive, at least a little bit. 33 for 44, 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Just superstar numbers from Joe Burrow. Chase goes ballistic, 14 catches on 18 targets for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Higgins obviously disappeared, though, 2 for 23. Then Chase Brown had 58 rushing yards, 65 receiving yards on 6 catches and a receiving touchdown where he did the Zeke celebration where he jumped in the Salvation Army bucket. Nice little throwback to that. Cooper Rush sucks, dude. God, he sucks. 16 for 31, 183, 2 touchdowns and an interception. I mean, just very uninspiring football. Like even when he had guys open, he just doesn't like place it where that it needs to go. And it's just, I don't know, it's just an ugly brand of football he plays. They don't really have another option because Trey Lance sucks too, but man, it's tough watching the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Rico Dowdle, I mean, he's been a beast since he took over the bell cow duties. He went 18 for 131 in this game. He should have been the starting running back, the bell cow, this entire time.
Yeah, they never should have paid Zeke. That was a big mistake.
I mean, even if you do bring Zeke in, because I don't think it was a big contract. It was only like a 1-year deal. Even if you bring him in, you don't have to fucking use him.
Yeah,
I know. It's like, it's crazy. Like,
yeah.
I know he had like a good game or 2 last year for New England, but it was obvious he wasn't the same player as he was. It's very perplexing that they didn't use Rico Dowdle like this earlier in the season.
I mean, that's definitely on their long list of mistakes for this season was not establishing Rico Dowdle as the lead back sooner.
And the thing is, though, I don't think he's like such a star that he should be the starting running back next year, though. Too, like I feel like he's like a nice complimentary back to somebody else. So, like, I don't know if that's like an Ashton Genty, perhaps, or maybe you go pick up a free agent running back or something like that. But I think they need to add somebody else to that running back room that's not like some geezer like Dalvin Cook or Zeke.
I'll tell you right now, if the Cowboys get Ashton Genty, I will have a aneurysm live.
Hey man, that'd be some exciting Cowboys Eagles ball the next few years. Genty versus Barkley.
Yeah, it would be.
He just thought about that.
It really would be, but I would hate it, of course.
Well, you're likely going to pick Ashton Genty in our dynasty draft first overall because you had a 1-13 record this year and you scored like 600 points combined. But so I mean, Cowboys, that would be a decently ideal spot for him to land.
And that's the problem. It would be, and it's just like I would love it for dynasty, but I would hate it in my heart.
CeeDee Lamb catches the early touchdown, goes 6 for 93 on top of it. Brandon Cooks had one catch, but it was a 3-yard touchdown. And then Micah Parsons, he looked miserable after the game. He just completely just stormed off the field without shaking any hands with the Bengals or anything like that. And like he was like yelling at the guy who muffed it on the sideline, like, "What are you doing, bro?" So he's breaking down, which as a Cowboy hater, I kind of like to see personally. I'm sure Kai likes to see too.
Yeah,
I mean he's clearly frustrated. You know, he's been on a team that's been normally good since he's been in the league. So now the first year where they're bad, he's just like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?"
The thing is, they'll probably find a way to be good next year.
Of course, yeah. I mean, they have as much juice as anybody in terms of that. You know, the Cowboys are usually pretty good at staying dominant in the league.
I don't know about dominant, but they're usually good.
Relevant. Let's say relevant.
Relevant's a good word. Yeah. And then horrible news for Dallas, honestly. DeMarvion Overshawn, who's kind of been like a breakout player the last couple of months, for his ACL, his MCL, and his PCL in his right knee. He will be out for a significant amount of time. They're literally talking about the timeline being he won't be back till 2026. So he is going to likely miss the entire season next year, which
I wasn't
is
trying
horrible
to laugh
for him.
about it, but I was just like, "Oh my god, that's a lot in one leg."
So that's tough. Yeah, obviously. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that. Hopefully he can. He's been great for them. He's been one of their better players in the last like 6 weeks. So
that's like your whole leg at that point, right?
That's every ligament in your knee, as far as I know. Yeah,
that's insane.
So
my knee hurts just thinking about it.
So I guess the question here is, do the Bengals still have a chance at making the playoffs? I still don't think they're going to. The defense is just so bad. They only held Dallas to 20 points, but it's Dallas. Like Cooper Rush, who gives a shit? I think the Bengals needed this for their confidence, and this is a game. Like this is probably one of the more winnable games left on their schedule, so they had to win this game. I still don't buy into the fact that they could make a run here, honestly, unfortunately, because I like the Bengals. I love Burrow. I love Chase, but I don't. This isn't a playoff team still to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, just because of their defense, I mean, they still beat the Cowboys by only one score. It's not going to be good enough against the playoff teams.
And to be honest, they probably shouldn't even have the opportunity to get that one score. Probably in a different universe where that punt doesn't get blocked last night, Dallas might go right down the field, kick a field goal with Brandon Aubrey to win the game.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. They got to catch the Chargers, the Broncos. They got to basically outpace the Ravens too. Mm-hmm. Like they have to catch all these teams that they don't have the tiebreaker versus the Chargers. They play the Broncos later this season, you know. So it's just like when it comes to uphill battles, they have the worst one
for sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
With a bad defense on top of it,
one of the worst defenses.
Yeah, so yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Okay, next up, Chiefs 19, Chargers 17. Sunday Night Football. Chiefs went on a doinked made field goal by their third string kicker.
I can't believe it.
How do they keep doing this shit?
I saw it happen live and I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And there was a Chargers fan in there that night. I was talking to him the whole time about the game. I was like, dude, the Chargers look really good. I think they have a chance tonight. And then we all watched that happen. He was just like, I can't believe it. I was like, I kind of can.
Yeah.
They got some sort of like magic to them. I don't know if it's Taylor Swift or Mahomes or whatever. I don't know, but there's something going on. There's some voodoo going on, some Kansas City voodoo. Go ahead,
awful.
Dylan.
They're the anti-Bears.
Yeah.
Because that's the Bears would lose a game on a doinked field goal. The Chiefs would win a game on a doinked field goal.
Now, let's be fair. The Bears wouldn't lose on a doinked field goal. They would lose on a double doinked field goal.
They have.
Yes, they have.
Hold on, we're barely through this podcast. Let's not crush Dylan's spirits so early.
Oh, his spirits have been crushed for weeks, dude.
For years. It's a magic. This was like, it's just more Chiefs magic. It's not, this was an ugly game in general. Like it was a defensive game. It wasn't like, it's like typical Chiefs football, just ugly game, stays close, and they win it right at the end.
Yeah, this was just like one of those games where there was like no turnovers or anything like backbreaking to either of the teams. It was just like stops. And yeah, the Chiefs just got more than the Chargers at this point. And like on paper, Justin Herbert played a great game as this is what the Chiefs do, and it stinks.
And there was like an injury scare for a moment with Justin Herbert too. It looked like he may have injured his knee. Heineke was like getting ready to come in. I don't think he ever did come in, or if he did, he didn't throw a pass at the very least. So it's good that Herbert was able to finish that game. Mahomes was 24-37, 210 and a touchdown. Pacheco went 14 for 55, which, isn't all that impressive, but the thing that sticks out to me is Kareem Hunt only had 5 carries for 16 yards, which tells me that Pacheco is going to be the lead dog down the stretch here. I thought maybe they might do like a 60-40 thing. It doesn't really seem like that. It'll probably be like an 80-20 thing, which is probably the right choice because even though Kareem Hunt did do good in his absence, Pacheco is just a different player. He's more of a game breaker for them. Younger. So yes. And Kelsey was the leading receiver, 5 for 45. Hopkins caught the touchdown, 4 for 32 for Nuke. Then Herbert went 21 of 30 for 213 and a touchdown. Very similar numbers, honestly, with him and Mahomes. Gus Edwards was inefficient, but scored a touchdown. He finished 10 carries, 36 yards. Vidal was 8 for 34. So still struggling to find a run game without J.K. Dobbins, which may hurt them here, depending on how much longer Dobbins is out. Palmer was the leading receiver for LA, 6 for 78. Huge caught the touchdown, 5 for 48. Will Disley was 2 for 19, and then he left the game with an injury. He's expected to miss some time. It sounds like he'll be out for like a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, if I had to guess. So that's relatively important, I guess, for fantasy football, because I'm sure there are teams out there that have been starting Will Disley. He's not like a superstar or anything like that, but he'll give you some numbers. He gets like a decent amount of targets. So especially with Ladd McConkey being out too, he missed this game. No McConkey, no Will Disley. That kind of hurts your like short game passing attacks. I feel like Palmer and Cuge are more like deep play, big play types of guys. So we'll see if hopefully McConkey can get back sooner for them. But if not, no McConkey, no Disley, no J.K. Dobbins. Their offense might look a little stagnant coming up. So I don't know the teams that they're playing, but that could potentially really hurt their playoff stock. So we'll have to keep an eye on the Chargers there. The Chiefs clinched the AFC West with this win, if there was any doubt that was going to happen eventually. So I don't know where you guys want to talk about this. We already talked about the Chiefs, I guess. So Chargers, do you guys agree with me that the injury to Disley and McConkey obviously is going to potentially hinder them here?
Yeah. I mean, if the J.K. Dobbins one wasn't hurting them already,
When is he supposed to be back? He's not done for the season, right?
I don't think so, but it was an extended injury, yeah. But I mean, they just haven't looked right since he's been out of the lineup. They've gone away from their run game because J.K. Dobbins has been out because Gus Edwards has looked like shit running the ball.
Yeah.
It's just, it stinks. Like this was such a good offense before J.K. Dobbins went down. They had a lot of balance, and now they just don't have any balance. So that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it's just the run game and like McConkey. Like you take away the intermediate area, like when you don't have somebody open underneath, and Disley. So both of these guys, now his underneath options, like Brian said, are toast. And Josh Palmer can only do so much. Like he's more of a deep field stretcher as well, but he can play the intermediate. So it's just like I don't look for the Chargers to be scoring like gangbusters. They're gonna have to play defensive football, and
they almost did.
And I think they had just as good of a chance to win this game as they will have. So it shows they can still be competitive with better teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're currently tied with the Broncos at 8-5. I think they have the tiebreaker over Denver, but I mean that could change coming up here. So
I think they play each other soon too.
They probably do. So I mean that's gonna be a huge game, especially for Denver specifically to try to get a leg up on them. So
yeah, they play them in prime time in 2 weeks.
Okay, that's exciting. What day? Thursday, Sunday, Monday.
It looks like it is. Oh, it's on Thursday night.
Ooh, that'll be a good game.
That's fantastic. Yep. Yeah.
All right, Rams 44, Bills 42. We already kind of talked about this game, but the Rams were winning 31-14 in the third quarter. The Bills make a nice little attempt at a comeback here, fall a little bit short. Stafford was 23 of 30, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. So nice game from Stafford there. Kyron Williams, 29 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's the most Kyron Williams stat line I've ever seen. Puka Nacua, 12 for 162 and 1, and a rushing touchdown. I mean, Puka looks fantastic. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he's the wide receiver 1 there over Cooper Kupp.
I think he's taken the torch for a while now.
Yeah. Kupp still had a good game, though, 5 for 92 and a touchdown. I think Puka's just a different animal right now.
Gang's back together. That's what I was saying last week.
Josh Allen, 22 of 37, 342 and 3, and then he had 82 rushing yards and another 3. This is the most fantasy points by a quarterback since the 1970s.
It's insane.
So a fantastic day for Josh Allen. So if you had him in a playoff matchup, I'm sure you're pretty happy right now.
Yeah, I was going to say in standard formats, I believe it was 51 points. So that's insane from a quarterback.
James Cook, 6 carries for 20 yards. Already talked about him. Khalil Shakir, 5 for 106 and a touchdown. Amari Cooper, 6 for 95. I think he had a lot of targets, right? How many targets did he have? Let me look that up real quick. Oh no. Amari Cooper, he had
14.
14. So 6, honestly, I mean, 14 targets is encouraging, but only catching 6 balls on 14 targets. That's not very good. I don't know if that was his fault or Josh Allen's fault, but I would assume probably more Cooper's fault. Maybe they just haven't really gotten the chemistry down yet. I'm not sure. Matt Collins, 4 for 57 and a touchdown. He's been kind of like the talk of the league lately because he's just doing that barefoot shit before games. So that's like their main focus during primetime games is showing his little path throughout the stadium walking barefoot. We already knew he was a character, but I'm kind of getting sick of seeing his feet personally.
But I mean, the reason why I think he's getting attention though too is just like he barely plays, but he just happens to get touchdowns. It's like he's like another Nick Westbrook-Akine almost.
I've always liked his talent personally.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's never been anything more than a wide receiver 3 on a team though. That's the problem. He's never had a chance.
He played 77% of snaps in this game. That's
probably his most ever, honestly.
It's not even the most in the last month. He had 88% against the Colts in week 10. It was the second most this season, though.
Okay.
That would put him at 5 touchdowns for the year, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. So, I mean, I guess he's like a potential dart throw if you're ever desperate in fantasy. Just hope for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I
mean, because even when he gets
55 yards at touchdown,
I was gonna say even when he gets touchdowns too, he's not getting like 4 catches for 57. Usually, it's like 1 or 2 catches the entire game.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this is like a loss that the Bills should be like upset about. Like obviously going down 31-14 at one point is bad, but you showed a lot of fight coming back into the game. LA is a tough place to play. I'm sure there was like not emotion, but like there was probably excitement coming off of the Snow Bowl game, and maybe they just kind of came back down to earth in this one. The Rams are a good team too, so like they're not like an amazing team, but it wouldn't shock me if they won a playoff game or 2 this year, the Rams. So I don't think that the Bills should be too upset about this loss. And it was a really good game, one of the better games of the year, honestly.
Yeah, they shouldn't be upset about it at all. I feel like this was a really good game. It showed that they do have heart and grit to battle back and possibly be in a game and win it like that. That being said, it doesn't feel good to have 44 dropped on you. It doesn't feel good to be down 31-14, in the third quarter. And it's about like adversity and what they're able to do with it. And going in and facing Detroit in Detroit this coming week is going to be even more of a matchup for them.
Oh, is that the matchup this week?
Is that this week? Oh, wow.
We get to see exactly
what both teams are made of.
What both teams are made of, what Buffalo's made of. That's my interest going into this game.
Ooh,
How does Buffalo handle going to Detroit and facing a 12-win Lions team that is just fucking everybody up?
But also a defense that's very banged up too. So it's gonna be it's gonna be very interesting to see for sure.
Potential Super Bowl matchup right there. I think that's probably most people's picks for the Super Bowl right now is Lions Bills. So
as it stands right now, that's what it's looking like for me. But
yeah, you never know though. The Chiefs could pull off some stuff too, like they did last year. So
of course, yeah.
Okay, Dolphins 32, Jets 26 in overtime. The Jets have now been eliminated from playoff contention for the 14th consecutive season. That's the longest active streak across not only the NFL, but also the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, and the WNBA. So I believe that means, I think that lines up correctly where their last playoff game was the AFC Championship game in 2010.
With Mark Sanchez.
With Mark Sanchez. It was one of the 2 AFC Championship games that Mark Sanchez lost. And I don't think that they've been back to the playoffs since. So that's pretty crazy. I know the Jets are a snake-bitten franchise, but I feel like we don't think of them in the same realm as like the Browns per se, where like the Browns have just been like generational losers for the last however many decades. The Jets are kind of right there now, though. Like, this is crazy. I mean, you go out and get Rodgers, you have Breece Hall, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Devontae Adams. You still can't find a way to win. That we thought that defense was going to be fucking nasty. It has not been. Sauce Gardner hasn't had an interception since like 1999. It's just like, holy crap, man. What a failure of a franchise. Anyway, Dolphins, Tua, 33 for 47, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's on fire right now. Devon Achane, still kind of bad on the ground. 14 for 24. He had a rushing touchdown, but then 6 catches for 45 yards. So he still has fantasy value through his receiving game. But obviously, Devon Achane has not been the pick that everyone wanted him to be this year when you were drafting.
That was the risk.
Tyreek Hill had a Tyreek game, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Waddle, 9 for 99. It looks like the wide receivers might be back a little bit. Jonnu Smith really didn't do anything until I think late in the fourth quarter was his first catch.
He had 2 catches in the fourth.
And then he caught the game-winning touchdown in overtime, too. So 3 for 44 and a touchdown for Jonnu. So
nice.
You're still happy with that. You're very happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Sealer had 2 sacks. Rodgers, 27 of 39, 339 and a touchdown. This is Rodgers' first time throwing for 300 yards since 2021. Is that correct?
That's crazy.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it kind of just came together too late, I think, for the Jets. I mean, they started like looking like a better offense in the last few weeks, but it's too late.
And obviously, Breece Hall missed this game with an injury, so I think in everybody's mind that opened up the door for Braylon Allen, who I think all of us like as a player.
Yeah.
Turns out he split carries 50-50 with Isaiah Davis. So Braylon Allen, 11 for 43, and he had 4 catches for 38 yards. Then Isaiah Davis went 10 for 40 and a touchdown with 3 catches for 27 yards. So,
dude.
Now, if Breece Hall misses, it's like, who do you play at this point? I honestly don't even know. I guess you play Isaiah Davis. I mean, he did have the better game. He had the touchdown, but
I think you play whoever you got. Yeah, whichever one of those guys you got. But yeah, dude, I've thought and believed in Isaiah Davis since I kind of was like looking at the dynasty like players, and I noticed that this dude was like FCS all-time leader in rushing yards. Isaiah Davis. Wow. Yeah. He's a beast. He's like a monster. So
I just think with the Jets, though, you kind of have to be careful, though, because it kind of seems like another. What was the situation I was thinking of? Oh, Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. It kind of seems like another Ray Davis, Ty Johnson situation with those 2 guys. It's like you better start the right one because I got screwed by that one time this year already.
There's also a chance Breece Hall plays this week anyway, so you won't even have to worry about picking one or the other. But if he doesn't, yeah, I think you're right, Dylan. I think you just play whoever you got. Unless you got both of them, who would you play then? Davis?
I think that's a crapshoot, right?
Yeah.
That's a crapshoot. But I think I might play Davis.
Yeah, I think I would too. Yeah.
He's a really good playmaker, in my opinion.
And then Wilson and Adams both had good games, honestly. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 114. Devontae Adams, 9 for 109 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams went on Kay Adams' show and which has become an increasingly annoying event for me personally, week by week. It's just a way for him to talk shit about the Raiders. He was saying that going from the Raiders to the Jets, which obviously bad team to bad team, it's like being in like a fight with a knife and then you grab a gun instead, but the gun jams. You made a good decision going to grab the gun, but it just still didn't work out for you. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. It's like, why are you still like justifying this? I don't know. Just admit you made a mistake. This was bad. You were screwed no matter what you did. If you stayed in Vegas, you went to New York, you were just going to have a bad year no matter what. So we'll see what the future holds for Devontae. I imagine neither him or Rodgers will be there next year. I don't know what his contract situation is like, but I don't see Devontae playing for the Jets in 2025. That's my official prediction. I think he has a new home.
That's fair.
I'm with it.
Okay. Any last words on this one?
No.
The Dolphins needed to win, and they did. So good on them.
They won because they were the better team, and the Jets are cheeks.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Eagles 22, Panthers 16. The Eagles officially clinch a playoff spot with the victory. It was a lot closer than I think Kai wanted it to be. A lot closer than what we thought it was going to be. Panthers playing decent football right now.
Yeah, they are. No, they really
hit on them.
They really are. I really think more and more to this day. I was actually talking to our buddy Sheen last night, who's a Panthers fan and a fan of the podcast. I told him I think Bryce Young probably deserves a chance to be the starting quarterback next year, whether they make him the starter. Whether they make him the starter or make him compete with whatever happens, if they decide to draft a quarterback, I hope not. But yeah, no, I mean, Panthers is playing good football for sure.
I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback, especially because they have so many other needs. I feel like this draft, you fill out your roster a little bit, give Bryce one more year, and then if you need to, if he's bad again, you're going to have a bad record again. You just pick another quarterback next year.
Yeah, I mean, me and Dylan said it last week. Me and Dylan said it last week. The Panthers just need to take the best player available at whatever spot they end up in the draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, this was just a good Eagles victory. You know, it's like the defense scared us a little bit. They let the Panthers get back into this game, or whether it was like the lack of offense that we had in the second half. But Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense, at the end of the day, they've saved us like they have with many games this season. So I'm very happy with the result.
Jalen Hurts, 14 for 21, 108, 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Saquon went 20 for 104. He's now the all-time single-season rushing leader for the Eagles. So congrats to you, Kai. Congrats to Saquon. A.J. Brown, 4 for 43. And then there's a potential beef brewing with Jalen Hurts, apparently. Or I guess it's not even brewing. It's been going on. And Brandon Graham talked about it like on his radio show or something this week, where he said, like, you know, they used to be friends. Now they're not. I don't know what's going on. He's like, Hurts has been, you know, doing his thing, and AJ Brown needs to kind of just like get over it type of stuff. And then I guess Brandon Graham walked back his comments the next day, which is just like, well, why are you even talking to begin with? Honestly, that was just such a, I know Brandon Graham is known for not being able to shut his mouth, but like, it's like, Jesus, dude, read the room a little bit. You guys are trying to win a Super Bowl here. You're trying to break up the team.
It's very frustrating. This is Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb all over again. You remember the video that Terrell Owens did where he's doing sit-ups in his driveway talking shit about Donovan McNabb? This is the same exact shit. Like, AJ Brown, you need to read the room, bro. Like, we're running a team now that's relying on the run game. Like, Jalen Hurts isn't going to be throwing it 30, 40 times a game anymore unless we absolutely have to. The problem is we haven't had to lately. So right now you're a product of a very simplified offense where Jalen is throwing it less than 25 times a game, and Saquon is just winning the game for us and our defense. Like, read the room. We're 11-2. Why are you bitching?
Who could forget the T.O. video, dude? That's an iconic moment in NFL history.
It's also very embarrassing, though, too. He's talking shit about his quarterback while he's doing crunches.
And that's the same guy that cried defending Tony Romo.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so, yeah, A.J. Brown's just being a fucking complete diva right now. I'm very upset about it.
I miss T.O. I miss T.O. a lot.
He was a character. I thought this game was extremely close the entire game, you know? And to be fair, like 14 completions for 108 yards is...
It's not good. Yeah, but it's working. At all. It's working, but this is what the Eagles have been doing the last few weeks. You know, it's not a pass heavy offense anymore. It's just, we're winning on the ground, we're winning with defense, and Jalen Hurts isn't making mistakes because they're not asking him to do a lot, and I think it's working. It's kind of similar to what the Bills were doing the first half this year. They weren't asking Josh Allen to do a lot. They were winning on the ground and defense. Same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the whole beef thing though, that's the last thing.
It's concerning for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, these were two guys that were like, oh, they were lifelong friends before they got into the NFL, and now all of a sudden AJ Brown's just being a diva.
It's a receiver.
Let me play devil's advocate here. Jalen Hurts had a beef with Nick Sirianni coming into the year too. We read about that. Maybe this is Jalen Hurts' fault. Maybe just an unlikable guy.
That could be too. Yeah, I mean, he's not a very extroverted guy as it is. Like, you can tell when he talks in his interviews. Like when I hear him talk, sometimes I'm like, is this the guy that's inspiring confidence in our locker room? Sometimes I really don't think so.
Devontae Smith, 4 for 37. Grant Calcaterra, 3 for 16. They scored the 2 receiving touchdowns for Philadelphia. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, 19 of 34, 191, a touchdown and a pick. Chuba, 26 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown. Thielen, 9 for 102. Thielen has a potential to win some leagues this year, honestly. He's getting hot at the right time. Oh, yeah. Xavier Legette, 2 for 39. He also dropped a go-ahead touchdown. That was a tough one.
It was tough. It was very close. I actually thought he caught it.
He was wide open. I thought he did too.
At first, I actually thought he caught it. I thought they made the wrong call, and I'm saying that as an Eagles fan.
And then Tommy Tremble caught the lone passing touchdown for the Panthers. We talked about the Panthers. They're playing good ball. I think you went over the Eagles pretty well. I guess we'll just move on from here.
Yeah.
Seahawks 30, Cardinals 18. Seahawks sweep Arizona. Another team that's getting hot at the right time. The Seahawks are looking very good. I think this is their 4th win in a row now.
They are hot.
Man, they have been streaky, right? So they won 3 to start the year, and then they went on a little bit of a losing skid. Now they're just winning games again. I don't really know how to make of them still, but they have the best record in the NFC West. If they play like this, they're going to win the division. So yeah, we'll see. They don't inspire me too much in the playoffs. I think they get just destroyed by whoever they play. Maybe not in the wild card round, but definitely by round 2. I think they're just toast, but we'll see what happens. Geno was 24 of 32, 33, and a touchdown. Charbonnet had 30 points before halftime, dude.
Yeah, it was
22
crazy.
for 134 and 2, and then 7 for 59. This is what we wanted from Kenneth Walker the last 6 weeks, and we haven't been getting it out. He gets injured. Charbonnet comes in, and now Charbonnet's the fucking guy. So
Kenneth Walker was never catching this many passes in a game, though.
Yes, he was. He had a lot of receiving work this season.
More than ever, but not to Charbonnet's level, though.
I disagree. I'll have to look up Kenneth Walker, but I think he was getting 6 receptions a lot this season. He had 2, then he missed 2 games, 4, 7, 8, 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 2. So there was some 7s and 8s in there.
It's definitely better than what he was coming into the league for sure.
The offensive coordinator this year said that he wanted to get the running backs involved more in the passing game.
Good.
Yeah. The thing is, though, Charbonnet, this is a great game for him, but once Kenneth Walker comes back, you're not going to feel inspired to play either one of the guys because we just saw what it looked like with both of them in, and it was just neither one of them were really relevant fantasy-wise. So as long as Kenneth Walker's out, Charbonnet, you pencil in definitely. Oh, yeah. But when Kenneth Walker comes back, I don't know what you do. So, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 5 for 82 and a touchdown. JSN has been just fantastic down the stretch.
He's the future.
I think he is. Yeah, he's wide receiver 6 on the year right now.
Oh my God,
in PPR
really?
leagues. Yeah.
Wow.
And he started out decently slow, but the last month, 40 points, 23, 20, 11, 19. Fantastic stuff for JSN.
Oh yeah.
Finally looking like he's coming into his own in the NFL. DK 4 for 49. For the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, 25 for 38, 259, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. James Conner, 18 for 90, much better game this time around against Seattle. 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown for him as well. Trey McBride, 7 for 70, still looking for that first receiving touchdown. I don't think he's going to get it. That's my bold prediction. I think he's going to have a fantastic season with 0 receiving touchdowns.
I actually put a bet on him this last week in the score a touchdown, thinking that he might get his first one, but it didn't happen.
Michael Wilson, 2 for 67 and a touchdown. MHJ 4 for 49. Just up and down for Marvin.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the Seahawks? I said my piece with the Seahawks. Do you agree with me? Do you guys feel a little bit better about their playoff chances? How are we looking at the Seahawks right now?
I still feel like they're gonna like you said, they're a very streaky team. I feel like there's a loss streak coming their way. I still think the Rams are gonna win the division somehow, some way. So,
well, they got Packers, Vikings the next 2 weeks. The Seahawks do.
Loss.
Both in Seattle.
Yeah. And then they play at Bears at Rams. They play the Rams week 18. That is prime football.
Oh, that's a great game.
That's going to be for the division probably.
Oh, yeah,
potentially, for sure.
Yeah.
So, this game didn't necessarily go the way I thought. It went the way I feared, because this just, I picked Atlanta. I mean, I picked Arizona to win, and I just kind of feel like they don't show up in big games like they did earlier in the season. But Arizona is just faltering, and they have a losing record now, and it looks like the division is going to be up to Seahawks-Rams. So we'll see how this shapes up the next few weeks. I really do. I kind of hope Seattle could shake it up and beat the Packers next week. There's a chance that a team like the Seahawks is possibly going for the 3 seed,
Yeah,
they might get it. They
absolutely get the 3 seed.
And that to me, that is just, they can't get the 2 seed, but the 3 seed.
No, they're not going to catch the Eagles. There's no way.
Yeah. So I'm kind of rooting for Seattle to play a little spoiler in the next, couple of weeks. Can they squeeze out a win versus Green Bay? That's what I'm looking for.
I tell you what, I mean, we're not going to pick games right now. I could definitely change my mind before Saturday, but if we were picking right now, I would pick the Seahawks to beat the Packers at home.
Really?
And that's
Seattle?
In Seattle, yeah. And Seattle's playing really great football defensively, too. So it's not like the Seahawks are out there just beating teams with their offense. No, they're playing complete football.
Oh, absolutely.
Good offense, good defense. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And, what can Seattle do if they do secure a playoff spot?
Probably not get past the first round.
We'll see.
Depends on I would say it depends on who they get matched up against.
If they win that division and have a team
have a home game.
Seattle, it's going to be hard to win a playoff game in Seattle. I think.
Yeah,
that's why I said I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. That's why I said if not the wild card round, because they're going to get a home game against a wild card team. So depending on who the wild card team is, it might be Green Bay or Minnesota. Who knows?
I would say I was if they're playing the Vikings or Green Bay, who knows?
Hey, we've never seen Sam Darnold in a playoff game before, so you never know.
You're right.
You never know. That would be Seahawks Vikings would be an excellent wild card round game.
It's always been a good one in years past.
Steelers 27, Browns 14. Russell Wilson does enough to get the victory without George Pickens, who did not play. He's likely not going to play next week, too. Sounds like. Russ 15 for 26, 158 and 2. Najee 16 for 53 and a touchdown. Freiermuth was the leading receiver for the Steelers, 3 for 48 and a touchdown. And then Van Jefferson had 1 catch. It was a 10-yard touchdown catch. Then Jameis followed up his Monday Night Football performance with a 24 for 41 showing, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, of course. No pick sixes, though, as far as I know. So that's good.
The Lord delivered him.
He asked the Lord to deliver him from picks. He didn't. He should have been more specific. Deliver me just from interceptions completely, Lord.
Because that wipes out pick sixes.
Yeah, so God's like, I got you, bro. Browns run game ineffective again. Chubb had a decent yard per carry, though, 11 for 48. That's not bad. They just weren't really feeding him. Game script, whatnot. Ford 10 for 28, so it's still kind of an even split. Jerome Ford just does not inspire me at all. He's just the most mid-running. He's not a bad player, but he's not going to win you games either. It's just a very unexciting player to have on your football team, in my opinion.
Yeah, he got very lucky last season. I feel like last season he got a lot of big run plays every so often, and that helped inflate his fantasy numbers a little bit.
Judy continues to be a fantasy asset, 5 for 64 and a touchdown. I mean, you're starting Judy every week. He's guaranteed start rest of season. Even if he has a down week next week, I think you just keep riding it just because the targets are there, the touchdowns are there. He's obviously Jameis's favorite target. They have a great connection. Even when Cedric Tillman comes back, I mean, Judy is the man. Njoku had another good game, 7 for 42. I think he had a touchdown too. I think I forgot to write that down. And then Elijah Moore, 3 for 34. So a little disappointing there, but I still think he's usable as like a flex player week to week just because of how many targets he gets. Then for the Browns, Greg Newsome placed on IR, and they waived Kadarius Toney after, get this, he played 2 snaps in this game. He played 2 snaps in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. He received a penalty for taunting on one of them, and then he muffed a punt that the Steelers recovered. So Kadarius Toney,
get the hell out of here.
Is he going to find another spot in an NFL team? I would hope not.
Probably.
He shouldn't.
No,
this is toast.
I mean, he shouldn't, but he shouldn't, bro. He probably will. Let's be real. Someone's gonna give him a chance. We know that.
It should be done. Like I said, Pickens didn't play with a hamstring injury. The Browns have been eliminated from playoff contention. And now the Steelers, this is from Hayden Winks on Twitter. The Steelers have now beaten the Browns in 21 straight regular season home games. Goodness gracious.
Oh, Lord.
One of the more dominant one-sided rivalries that we have in the NFL today, for sure. Steelers-Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, not much to say here. Steelers still good. The Browns still the Browns. Just is what it is. I think the Steelers are going to win that division, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. I really do. They're built to win in the playoffs. Russell Wilson has been in big games before. I know he's not the same Russ as he was like in Seattle, but honestly, he has moments this year where he does look like Seattle Russ. So
yeah.
I expect the Steelers to be very fucking dangerous in the playoffs, and it would not shock me if they were in the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to say that right now. I would not shock me if the Steelers were in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to put it out there now, too. They're my dark horse for the AFC for sure.
Me too. I'm there with you. I really think they have a legitimate chance to win the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're one of the teams with a good enough defense to stifle just about anyone in the AFC. Like, they could probably beat. I think they could beat Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
Like I really think they could beat Kansas
City. I legitimately think they could beat Kansas City. Yeah.
Russell
Wilson being the quarterback too, he's just that experienced to where I could place my faith in them to beat Kansas City.
It's unfortunate that I probably won't be able to catch them. They're still 2 games back, but like if they were able to get a home game against Kansas City, it would be especially better. Yeah. But I still think they could win an Arrowhead, though, too. And don't forget, they have Tomlin as well, who's one of the best coaches in football, too. So they have like a little bit of everything. They have an experienced quarterback. They have a decent run game. They have weapons on offense. They have a great defense. They have a great coach. They have a good home field advantage. The Steelers are going to be dangerous here. Watch them lose wild card now after we talk them up. Okay. Vikings 21, Falcons 20. Vikings 42, Falcons 21. So Kirk Cousins went 23 of 37 for 344 and 2 picks. The last 4 weeks for Cousins, he's now 0-4. They've lost 4 straight games. He has 0 touchdowns. He has 8 interceptions. I haven't heard any whispers of this happening, so I imagine it's not going to, but this is the time to bring Penix in. I've seen enough. I think you have to, especially now that they're not in the lead anymore in that division. I think you bring Penix in and just see if he has fucking anything, because if not, if you're just going to stay stagnant, the Bucs are going to take this division. They look good again. I don't see how you can sit around any longer. Like Kirk has shown you that he just doesn't have it, at least not right now. Like I know he's had a couple of bright spots this season, but like 2 of them were against Tampa Bay. So it's if you're not playing Tampa Bay, is he even good? I don't know. You know, like his velocity's not there anymore. His decision making's not there anymore. I think he's toast, man. I think you got to bring Penix in.
I just want to make a quick point. I mean, I'm not defending Kirk Cousins in any way, but it does kind of stink for him, though. It's like he's shown, even in the last 4 weeks, that he can move the offense. He's just throwing like back-breaking interceptions. I mean, it stinks.
Big part of the game.
Of course, it's a big part of the game. I'm just saying it stinks for him. I'm not defending him in any way.
When he was in his 20s, there was a couple times that the Redskins had a chance to make the playoffs, and he threw a back-breaking pick in Week 17, the last game of the season, and they missed the playoffs because he did it. I remember at least one time specifically against the Giants. I think there might have been another time where it happened. Yeah. So it's like, this is kind of who he's always been, except for those years in Minnesota where he turned into like a legitimate top 10 quarterback. But it's just like
I still think
interceptions have always been there in his DNA, and it's showing that it's still there.
Yeah, I still think you should bring Penix in, though. I absolutely agree with you. Like especially with the schedule they have coming up. It's the Raiders and the Buccaneers, I believe we said.
Yeah. The Raiders they already played the Bucs twice. The Raiders
and someone else, and the Falcons.
They play the Raiders, Giants, Commanders, Panthers.
Oh, it's perfect time to bring Penix in.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
So here's my thing. The Falcons are 4-1 in the division right now.
That's hilarious.
They've swept the Buccaneers. They've gone 0-. They haven't won a game since November 3rd. Okay? You have 4 games left. All you have to do is win a couple. If you win 3 of those 4, you're probably going to have a good chance to go to the playoffs by winning that division because you have all these tiebreakers. You're not winning with Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to put a guy that you drafted top 10 in the game. If there's any situation where a team needs to find out what their quarterback has or player has, this is the one time. You have a prime chance to see what your quarterback can come in and do and see if you can win you 3 out of 4 games to make the playoffs.
It's also just
4 out of 4.
It's also just the best schedule to bring in a rookie quarterback too. It's not the most imposing defenses ahead. Like, just do it.
And then you have basically a manufactured way to get your quarterback that you drafted important reps and possibly playing a playoff game in his rookie season.
Yeah.
Get him broken in like that into that offense. This is a prime chance to do that, but I know that they won't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Hopefully. I really like Penix. Sorry.
Bijan was 22 for 92 and a touchdown. Al-Jair 9 for 63 and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney 6 for 142, one of Kai's saviors this week. Ray McLeod 8 for 98. Drake London only 5 for 70. So like obviously the receivers are still doing pretty decently there, but it's just not good here.
They're not scoring. Yeah.
Darnold had a fantastic game, amazing game. 22 of 28, 347 and 5. He was this close to being one of my saviors this week, and I didn't do it. I was like immediately, I had him in one of my leagues, so I wasn't like upset about it. I was like, oh well, whatever. But still, though, I had a chance to look really smart, and of course I shot myself in the foot. Aaron Jones 13 for 73 and a touchdown. Jordan Addison just goes completely nuclear, 8 for 133 and 3. And then Justin Jefferson, 7 for 132 and 2. His first touchdowns since October 20th. So long touchdown drought for him, finally over.
Yeah, Darnold, man, legit. I mean, this was around a point in time where we were starting to doubt him again. We were like, oh, Darnold's starting to look like Darnold again. And here he goes and just tosses 5 touchdowns to his top 2 wide receivers, which is what you want to see in a quarterback.
I don't want to sound like a hater, but I still have my doubts about him as a franchise quarterback.
Of course, but
I think a lot of this is Kevin O'Connell, who's just a really good coach, and this is a really good organization, a good team for him to go to and kind of like revitalize his career. I don't think, like, if the Vikings were to choose Sam Darnold over JJ McCarthy next season, I wouldn't blame them, but I don't think like a team like the Raiders or the Jets should go out and just like give Sam Darnold a bunch of money. I think that would be pretty foolish.
Raiders need to draft a quarterback.
I agree.
They don't need to mess around with this free agency shit.
So for the Vikings specifically, would you guys keep Sam Darnold, or would you roll out JJ McCarthy next year, or would you just keep both of them?
I think you make him compete.
I think you try to sign Darnold to a friendly deal. If they win the Super Bowl this year or go to the Super Bowl or make a deep playoff run, it's going to be very hard to let go of Sam Darnold, especially if he's the one that carries you into that situation, which what he just showed was he's capable of that.
Yeah.
He's very capable of that, apparently.
I was going to say what's probably going to end up happening is, like, if Darnold does do whatever Dylan just said, like, it takes him on a deep playoff run or wins the Super Bowl even, like, Darnold, you're not going to be able to bench him at that point. Like, you're going to have to make JJ McCarthy end up being like this Aaron Rodgers type of guy that sits behind the starter for like 3 to 4 years maybe, or however long Darnold stays around.
Well, let me take you back to a few years ago where Case Keenum took him to the NFC Championship game and didn't play for them the following season. So they've had a history of that happening and then choosing a different quarterback.
Who did they pick up that season following?
Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, of course, unless something big like that happens, I think they stick with Darnold.
If you win the Super Bowl, you're sticking with Darnold. That would be foolish to go to JJ McCarthy.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. I think
pay Darnold a lot.
At that point, JJ McCarthy just becomes this backup that's going to be groomed behind a good starter for years.
You trade him while his value is decently high. You got to trade him at that point.
If you were smart, yeah, of course.
The Vikings are a smart organization. Yeah, I think that they would trade him at that point.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation if all works out.
Darnold's like 26, dude. Yeah. Was he going to sit behind him for 14 years?
I think Darnold is just slightly older than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Really?
I think that they have like a 2-year difference.
Darnold's like one of those guys where he's like been in the league forever. It's like kind of just.
Darnold's 27.
He came out kind of young, though, right?
McCarthy's 21.
He is? Okay. I thought he was older than that. But okay, that's a 6-year difference. I could see that, but
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it just really depends.
But that's not a Brett Favre Rodgers situation at all, though. You have to pick one or the other. This is like a Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers situation where you got to make a choice between one or the other.
I guess there you go.
Okay. Let's not spend too much time on this game. Jags 10, Titans 6.
Stinky.
Mac Jones 23 of 31, 220 and 2 picks. I called the Jaguars though. I just want to say that it was a nice little call by me. I didn't feel good about it, but Tank Bigsby 18 for 55 and a touchdown. ETN 4 for 20 and then 4 catches for 50 yards. Oh man, the downfall of Travis Etienne. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. 8 for 86, and then Levis was 19 for 32 for 168. Pollard 21 for 102. Ridley 7 for 59. I mean, just bad football between two bad teams, just two irrelevant teams. Probably the most irrelevant game of the week by like a mile.
They're both eliminated.
Yeah.
It stinks. It's a stinky game overall. I mean, me being an ETN owner in Dynasty, like 2 years in to owning him, now I'm just like, oh man, he got reverted to the pass catching rule. This stinks.
Literally nothing happened in this game. Tank Bigsby scored a touchdown, and then Brian Thomas Jr. caught some passes. That was like it.
Mac Jones got away with an awful game because the Titans stink just as bad.
Oh, he didn't get away with it.
And ironically, the Titans defense still had an amazing game, and the Titans just stink.
I mean, besides the 2 picks, Mac Jones' numbers aren't bad.
No, they're not. Yeah, it's just like it just felt like one of those games like where he moved the offense and probably just threw a back-breaking interception. Like that's like what those kind of numbers show me.
Yeah, that's just I don't really
want to talk about this game. It makes me mad.
Even if I wanted to, I just don't even see a reason to. There was nothing that happened in this game that like out of ordinary. There was no storylines. There was nothing.
Brian Thomas Jr. looks like the best player on this team, and he's a rookie. There we go.
Well, yeah, we already knew that. Shit.
There we go.
Okay, Bucs 28, their Raiders 13. Baker Mayfield 18 for 29, 295, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Rashad White. You said takes over the confusing Bucs backfield. That's not true. Bucky Irving left this game with an injury, a back injury, and did not return. So Rashad White took over because he had to. 17 for 90 and a touchdown, 2 catches for 19 yards and a touchdown. Bucky Irving only went 4 for 3.
I mean, it's confusing because you started Bucky Irving thinking he was the right start, and then it just.
Well, he got injured.
I know his injury, but still.
We'll see if he plays next week. They have to evaluate him throughout the week. A back injury is a little tricky, so it would not shock me if Bucky missed next week, which is kind of brutal for fantasy owners. But if he doesn't play, Rashad White got to pencil him in, and then Sean Tucker becomes interesting too potentially. So
yeah.
Kate Otten 3 for 70, Evans 3 for 69, Sterling Shepard 4 for 63, and then Jalen McMillan was the one that had a big game, 4 for 59 and 2 touchdowns. So good on Jalen McMillan, had a nice little game. Now let's talk about the Raiders here. So AOC got injured in this game. He had a bone bruise. Wasn't overly impressive before that happened. 11 for 19 for 104 and a pick. And the injury happened too. It was weird because he kind of just got like shoved to the turf. It wasn't like a crippling injury or anything, or like a crippling hit or anything like that. It wasn't but it wasn't specifically like a no contact injury either. So I was like, I don't know what this injury is going to be.
You said bone bruise, right?
Turns out it was just a bone bruise. Pierce has already said that Desmond Ridder is likely going to start this week, but now they're saying that AOC is going to try to play. So it's up in the air. I don't know which one of those guys is starting next week. I don't really feel inspired by either one of them. They are playing Atlanta, so I guess if Kirk Cousins continues to throw picks, I guess the Raiders have a chance to win, but I would personally expect them to lose that game no matter who starts.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, a bone bruise is a pretty fluky injury. I mean, he might just be feeling better after a few days.
Bone bruise happens like potentially sometimes when you like hyperextend your knee. I didn't see his knee get hyperextended, but bone bruises are painful, especially like in the knee area. So it would not shock me if AOC missed this game. I kind of expect Desmond Ridder to play.
Yeah, I'm just saying I can see like why he tried to come back.
He didn't try to come back in this game. He just might come back next week.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He also had a rushing touchdown too. Ridder in relief was 12 of 18 for 101. Sincere McCormick, 15 for 78. Not like the most impressive stat line ever, but he passed the eye test. He looked like he had some juice. I expect him to get more touches as the season goes on. I think he's going to have even more touches next week. So I still think he's like in play for fantasy football. Jacoby Myers, 7 for 67. Michael Mayer, 7 for 68. Made a couple of nice catches in this game too. He's had a kind of a tough season, so I'm happy for that kid. Bowers, 3 for 49. Dylan already kind of talked about him, but he broke the rookie tight end reception record set by Sam Laporta last season. So there was like that big stereotype that rookie tight ends just aren't a thing. And now back-to-back years, there's a rookie tight end that kind of stood out. So congrats to Brock Bowers. Still 4 games to play, too. He already has the record. So that's going to be a pretty insurmountable record, I imagine, for tight ends to try to overcome here. Unless he only has 3 catches moving forward every single game, and then it might not be that hard. Mm-hmm. But and then Antoine Winfield will miss several games with a sprained knee for Tampa Bay. For the Raiders here, the defense honestly didn't play half bad. Like I know they gave up 28 points. It is the Buccaneers. They were playing in Tampa Bay, but the Raiders hadn't had a single game this year where they had more than 1 turnover, and they had 3 in the first half against Tampa Bay. So Jack Jones had a nice interception in the end zone. Defense honestly did not look atrocious. I will say, I know 28 points isn't ideal to give up, but they played better than I thought they were going to. I mean, look at Mike Evans only had 3 catches too. So
yeah, no, I was going to say that they did play pretty well too, because I kind of expected Baker Mayfield to just have a pretty clean game. I didn't expect him to really throw any interceptions.
Yeah, and I this is honestly perfect for the Raider. I like don't accidentally win any games. I still feel like they're accidentally going to win one, and which makes the Atlanta game a little nerve-wracking to me, just because of how badly Atlanta's playing right now. Where I'm like, don't fuck up this draft position that you have, because right now they are in the number 1 spot. Jacksonville won this week, so now there's only the Giants they're really competing with right now. The 2 teams that have 2 wins, and they have like percentage point difference with the Giants or some I think it's like the schedule, like they have like a slightly harder schedule or something like that. So hopefully they can keep this up, keep losing games, get that number 1 overall pick. The Atlanta game is going to scare me a little bit though, so I guess we'll see how that goes. I guess the rest of the season, what I'm looking for is if the defense can get some turnovers and play at least like decent brand of football while also giving up enough points to lose. And then I want to see Sincere McCormick, and I want to see more Brock Bowers. I want to see Bowers get like at least 100 catches. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So really the only things to look forward to as a Raider fan is to see how Sincere McCormick looks, see how Brock Bowers looks, and hope that they keep losing. So
there you go.
There you go. Desmond Ritter time, baby. But another thing too that scares me is the Falcons are playing so bad, and Desmond Ritter, this is a revenge game factor if he plays. So I'm like, oh no, what if Desmond Ritter turns into fucking Cam Newton or something here?
It. You're being silly.
I'm just saying.
Silly. You're so silly.
I'm just talking over here.
Desmond Ritter's not going to blow up the Falcons. You're so silly.
I'm just talking. Niners 38, the Bears 13. Before we get to the stats, go ahead, Dylan. You want to say something? How did you feel about this game?
This was worst case scenario. Is the Bears defense has lost. The Bears, what we thought was the good Bears defense, good red zone defense, look completely lost. The Niners were really moving the ball and scoring at will. And we couldn't do anything on offense until it was, we never really did anything on offense.
I feel like that's been your real. I'm sorry. I feel like that's been your whole season. Like, even like through these last few weeks where you guys have shown improvements in the offense, I feel like it's coming in the second half. Yeah. And it's like
no one ever said we deserved to win the game.
I'm not saying that either. I want that to happen for you, but that's not what we're saying. I'm just saying that when the Bears do show improvement, it's in the second half by the time the game's way too fucking late.
Yeah. And to be honest, the defense faltered from the start. Like it was a bad game. Offensive line played bad. Caleb looked like he was holding the ball too long, took a bunch of sacks he shouldn't have taken, had a relatively clean game. He did lose a fumble. But all in all, the offense still looks inept. And this is, for me, it's not as painful because this is best case scenario for next season. Let's just, like Thomas Brown, not going to be head coach. That's clear, right? Not going to be head coach.
Yeah.
Going to go somewhere else. Go coach somewhere else. We're going to get a new coaching staff. We're going to get hopefully Ryan Poles can get his head out of his ass. And if the Bears keep losing games, which I think they will, they have a hard schedule the rest of the season. Like if the Bears ended this season with 4 wins, I don't think anybody would be surprised if they won 4 games this year. And that slots you into like a top 7 pick. So we have a new head coach with a top 7 pick and a good base of a team with a second-year quarterback. So I'm not expecting very much going forward, especially after seeing this shit.
Well, I mean, at least you guys got your quarterback position figured out.
Yeah, I think losing Eberflus definitely showed what he meant. Even though he's a bad head coach, even though he's a terrible head coach, he controlled the defense completely. It showed what that man meant to that defense. So I think that garners him a defensive coordinator job.
Yeah.
Is the first game without him, the Niners just shred the defense.
Well, yeah. Also, I mean, he was a good defensive coordinator before, right? Where did he come from?
Indy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I fully expect him to get a DC job next season for sure. I don't think there's any doubt that he can coach a defense. He just doesn't have like the leadership capabilities to be a head coach, which, whatever. I mean, if you know your role, be a good defensive coordinator for the rest of your career.
Yeah,
There's perfectly fine doing that.
Be like a Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
There you go.
Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, he could be. And like that's just it. That is glaring to me that our defense took a huge step back without his play calling. It's his scheme.
That's a good
point.
But
the play calling was not controlled by him anymore, and it looked bad.
Who is calling the plays now?
It's like some guy named Eric Washington. Fired.
They're all going to be fired. Probably like 20% of the staff is going to be fired.
Clean house.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
The 49ers, though, kind of look like the 49ers in this game. Purdy 20-25, 325 and 2. Looked great.
Slow your roll on that one.
Why?
It's the Bears.
They looked great.
I know, but still, they did look great. They did look great.
I know, but I don't think they're going to.
Both of you picked the Bears to win. What the fuck are you talking about?
I did, but I still don't think the 49ers are going to win the division. I'm sorry.
Oh, obvious. I didn't say that. I just said that they looked like the 49ers of old right here.
Yeah, the 49ers of old would win this division is my point.
I didn't. Shut the fuck up, Kai. Isaac Guerrero, 15 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. Jesus Christ. 2 catches for 50 yards. Left the game with a foot injury. Status uncertain for Thursday Night Football. I don't think he's going to play, personally. Something to keep an eye on for sure, but I don't think he's going to play. Next man up, which would be what that would be the 4th string running back, would be Patrick Taylor. Yeah, Patrick Taylor, 7 for 25 and a touchdown for him. I mean, sure. I mean, any 49ers running back, I think, is worth a start in fantasy if you think they're going to get the lion's share of the carries. But Isaac Guerrero looked really fucking good, and I don't think Patrick Taylor is Isaac Guerrero, so I wouldn't expect that. But still worth the roster and a start for sure if he's out there. George Kittle, 6 for 151. Juwan Jennings, 7 for 90 and 2. I mean, Juwan Jennings is just, honestly, you play him every week, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, he's solidified that for sure. He's their best receiver, and it's not close.
And then like Debo, who I don't know how Debo did in this game. I know he didn't do well, but he had a tweet this week too that was like, "It's not me not doing well. I'm just not getting the ball." And then he deleted it. I'm like, "Oh God, this relationship needs to be over. He needs a change of scenery fast." So I think
Debo's stats. I think it was like 2 catches for 23, and then he had like 15 rushing yards.
Yeah, not good, man.
Yeah,
good. Gross Matos had 3 sacks. Leonard Floyd had 2 sacks. For the 49ers. For the Bears, Caleb 17 of 23, 134 and 2. DeAndre Swift 14 for 38. DJ Moore 6 for 49. Odunze though, bright spot, 4 for 42 and 2. Looks like they're actually like scheming him in plays finally, so that looks really good. A little bit of a bright spot to look forward to in the last few weeks of the season, I guess, for you.
I think so. I think that's going to be an important connection going forward. Absolutely. I think Odunze is he was brought in to be that red zone threat, like spectacular catch type receiver. Because DJ Moore's good too, but he's more of a rack line of intermediate short route guy too. So
I was gonna say I think Odunze was drafted to be Caleb's wide receiver 1 in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We can't imagine DJ.
They spent like a 6th overall pick on him, of course. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like this is. DJ Moore is still there, but Odunze is going to take it over eventually. So,
hey, Keenan Allen's a free agent, correct, Dylan?
Yeah, but he said he wants to come back to Chicago. So,
do you want him back though?
Yeah,
I would.
Would you take it back? I wouldn't personally. I would just roll more in Odunze, I think, but I could see why you would want him back. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I just think the more he has had a good season, but at the same time, I don't know. I think the age is going to catch up here eventually in the next couple of years. I would want him off my team before that happens personally, especially if you have a first round talent already with Odunze and DJ Moore, who is a solidified, wide receiver one in the league too. I think it would make sense for them to move on instead of giving him too much money. If they can bring him back on like a short deal, like a cheap deal, absolutely. But I wouldn't be giving him like a 3-year deal or anything like that. Absolutely not.
That's what I was going to say too, Brian. I think like if you can bring Keenan Allen back on like a cheap, like 1 or 2 year deal, like I think it makes sense because, it's like Caleb really didn't have the offensive line to work with this year either. Like I think once they like fix up everything after another off season and you have this core of Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze, I think you have to run it back at least 1 more year if you can.
Yeah, I don't see why not. But we'll see what the new head coach and scheme wants. Because it's still up in the air too. So
yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Saints 14, Giants 11. Last game here. Yeah, this was another stinker here. Giants actually had a chance to win it at the end, though. It wasn't a good football game, but it was a close contest here. Derek Carr. Also, I don't even think we mentioned here. I'll talk about Derek Carr's stats here, and then we'll talk about what I don't think we talked about earlier. Carr 20 of 31, 219, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. What the hell was he doing when he injured his hand? Did you guys see that play when he injured his hand? He dove it was like on the sideline, and instead of like going out, he like dove forward with the ball. The only problem was his offensive lineman was right in front of him as he was he dove into his offensive lineman who was blocking someone on the sideline. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It was the most unnecessary injury of all time.
Where did his hands go? Like what caused the injury?
I don't remember. I can't remember if it hit the player or hit the turf and did it. I think he maybe broke his fall with it. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember, but the play is ridiculous looking. Like he's literally just diving, like he's diving for the pylon, like Josh Allen did a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, his offensive lineman is just right straight in his face. It's like, what was your thought process there, Derek? I don't understand that. So he kind of shot himself in the foot on that one when he got injured.
Alvin Kamara. I'm gonna look at this video, but yeah, you guys.
You look it up. Alvin Kamara 17 for 44, and then 5 for 35. Kendre Miller 10 for 32 and a touchdown. Kendre Miller is a Kendre Miller time. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
No, it's not. He can't stay on the field.
You never know, though. You never know.
Yeah,
they even said too, Darren Rizzi admitted that he was healthier than like an IR designation was. So basically, Dennis Allen threw him on IR when he didn't have to, which Dennis Allen was talking shit about him all training camp too. So it kind of felt like there was a little bit of a bias against him. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be shocked if Rizzi uses him down the road. I wouldn't say start him. I'm not saying that, but pick him up. See what happens. If they start using him more, he could be usable.
So I'm looking at the picture of the injury. I watched the video too of Derek Carr. It's just the way he landed. He landed very awkwardly on his non-throwing hand.
You see what I'm talking about though, right? Where it's like, where are you diving towards your player?
Yeah, it was just a very stupid play. And Derek Carr, I think, just has very bad luck on top of it. So that's just what it was.
You know that saying, you make your own luck? I think he falls victim to you making your own luck sometimes.
No, absolutely. For sure.
MVS was 4 for 51. MVS, I think, moving forward, I mean, he's been a decent flex play fantasy-wise. I don't know if he's going to be without Derek Carr, so I would be nervous about playing him going forward.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson, 4 for 50, had the lone touchdown for the Saints, lone passing touchdown. And then for the other side, the Giants, Drew Lock, 21 of 49, 227, a pick, and 59 rushing yards. God damn, he sucks. We'll always have that one Monday Night Football game, though, right? And also him dancing to Young Jeezy on the sideline. Tyrone Tracy, 16 for 45 and a touchdown. Malik Neighbors, 5 for 79. Did you guys see the post-game interview with Malik Neighbors where they were talking about apparently somebody hired a plane with like a sign to fly over MetLife Stadium that said, "Mr. Mara, please fix this dumpster fire," or something like that. And they asked Malik Neighbors, like, "Did you see that plane?" He's like, "Hey, I ain't paid for the plane," or something like that. I ain't paid for that plane. And then he walked away.
That's the right answer.
That's pretty funny. I mean, this was just another bad football game. The Giants are bad. The Saints are better than the Giants, but still bad. The Giants desperately need either Cam Ward or Shadir Sanders. I'm hoping that they get the number 2 overall pick. They can have the other one that the Raiders don't want, but they need some fresh blood in there ASAP. I personally think that they're going to keep Dayball. And I don't know if that's the wrong choice, honestly. I think Brian Daboll hasn't been given the best deck of cards to play with. And he had the one good season where they went to the playoffs with Daniel Jones when they won a playoff game. Usually, like, this is like the Eberflus situation where if you draft a rookie quarterback, you should fire your head coach and get a new one. And I'm going against that because I completely believe that the Bears should have fired Eberflus last season. I'm not totally against the Giants keeping Brian Daboll. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
So Brian Daboll to me is one of those coaches where I think he's like shown enough to where he might deserve another chance, but at the same time, it's a tough situation.
Nope.
You don't think so?
You got to fire him.
Well, you just lived this situation, so yeah.
You got to fire him. You have to start over new. It's not like you're the Jaguars. You're the New York Giants. You have a very, 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 very interesting job to very, very, very good coaches.
Yeah.
You're limiting yourself by keeping a guy that has had no success. And it doesn't really matter the circumstances. It's you have a chance to bring in a new coach to help with the quarterback search. And you don't have to worry. What happens if they fucking go, what if they're 2-15 next year? And then they fire Daboll?
Then
year late?
Yeah. And it's the same thing as the Bears are doing right now.
Yeah, they have to fire him. And I give him the respect to the end of the year, but you have to start over fresh and you have to do a whole overhaul because this team is in rebuilding mode. You rebuild starting with the coach.
Daboll should have stayed fat. Everything went downhill when he got skinnier. Just doesn't look right. I'm happy for him that he got healthier, but it just doesn't look right. He was born to be a fat guy. He should have been a fat guy.
He's not
Brian Daboll
he's not humble anymore.
Was he ever humble?
I don't know. I feel like being fat makes you more humble. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Odd take. Okay. All right. Well, that's it then. Thursday Night Football. Rams 7-6 at Niners 6-7. Is this all the injuries or are you still working on them?
No, this is it.
Okay. Tyler Higbee out for the Rams. Demarcus Robinson didn't practice today. Questionable for Thursday. Garindo, we already talked about. We'll see if he plays. Trent Williams and Nick Bosa also questionable. It's in Santa Clara. I mean, the Niners coming off a nice win. The Rams coming off a nice win. I'm personally picking the Rams. I would not be shocked if the Niners found a way to win this game, but I'm going to pick the Rams. I think they're the better team. I think that they need this win because they're still catching up to the Seahawks, and I'm going to pick the Rams.
I am taking the Rams too. I'm a momentum guy. I've said the Rams are going to win this division. They look really good right now. The gang's all back together. The 49ers got lucky that they played a bad team this last week. They're going up against a good team this week. Give me the Rams.
I think I'm all about momentum too. And I think the only way that you battle momentum is to stop it. And I think the Niners have the perfect opportunity to stop the momentum of the Rams. The home game, I know the Rams already beat them earlier in the season in LA. Divisional football's tough. These teams are pretty evenly matched, in my opinion. I don't think the Rams are gangbusters like going to beat anyone in the NFL. I know they just beat the Bills, but they showed some weaknesses in that game. I think that the Niners can exploit that. And I think these are always wonky games, and it's never who you think. So I'm going to take the Niners to win at home.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a good reasoning for sure. I'm just taking the Rams, so.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. That's it for us. As always, you can find us at Raging Takes, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. You can email us ragingtakes@gmail.com. I'm at Montana Sauce on Twitter. Kai is at RTP Kai, and Dylan is at Such a Wise Fool. We'll see you on Saturday.